Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Chopping It Up with Ramel. No notes, straight from the door. Listen, it's Monday morning. I know most of you guys are off President's Day. I have to go to work, but it was no way I was going to go to work without chopping it up with you guys this morning because there's a lot to talk about. This morning, my theme was going to be recapping the All-Star Weekend, talking a little bit about boxing because there was a great fight on Saturday night, and there's a great fight that's coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend that needs to be discussed. And then, sometime around midnight, the breaking news, the blockbuster trade of DeMarcus Cousins going to New Orleans just changed my whole show around. Let me get to the boxing first because that's going to be short, and then we get to the All-Star Weekend. Listen, Adrian Bronner, those who know me, I'm not a fan of his. He fought his friend, Adrian Granados. What a fight that was. Granados, he can't win a fight to save his life. He's been in a lot of close fights, bad decisions. This is a guy that now has 5 losses, 2 draws that could easily be close to undefeated. But he gave a performance the other Saturday night against Adrian Bronner, and he almost stole one in Adrian Bronner's hometown. This one was a split decision. The judge that had it in favor of 96-94 in a 10-round bout for Adrian Bronner, I mean, that's how close it was. It was decided by 96-94. Adrian Bronner is clearly the better boxer, but for whatever reason, he just couldn't get rid of this guy, and he couldn't make this an easier fight. Adrian Granados was on him like a cheap suit. I mean, he just gave him everything. He wasn't afraid of him. He mixed it up, took some tough shots. I mean, between the two, he was the busier fighter. I think that Bronner threw more power punches, and he was able to steal the closing seconds of round 10, the final round, that might have sealed that victory for him. Otherwise, we're looking at a draw in his hometown. But it was a great fight, nevertheless. There was another fight on before that, Lamar Patterson, whatever his name is. I thought he was lackluster. Gave a lackluster performance. I'm not too keen on him. I'm not sure how far he's going to go. But I tell you what, the Adrian Granados was a great fight. I don't know what's next for Bronner. Bronner is trying to turn a new leaf. He seems like he's becoming a little bit more humble. He said some things in the post-interview, post-interview, that I never heard from him. He was speaking pretty positive. He was apologizing to fans and parents around the world whose kids that may look up to him as a role model. He said that those things are behind him, those occurrences and incidents, and he's turning a new leaf. And you know what? Whether he's sincere or not with the apology, that was great to see. Because one thing about Bronner, I don't like him because I think he's a fool, but at the same time, this guy's a boxer. He's one of the better, he's one of the more talented boxers out there. He has the opportunity to be a great one when it's all said and done. All he has to do is kind of live up to that apology, and he would definitely have a great career. Let's put it that way. And I'm hoping he does because, again, the guy has talent, and no matter how I feel about him, I always want to see him lose. But he comes to box, he comes to fight, and he draws attention. He has a lot of energy. Like I say, he's one of the more talented boxers out there. So let's hope that he can turn his career around. But before I go into the All-Star Weekend, March 4th, it's on CBS, believe it or not. Might be the fight of the year coming up. And that's Danny Garcia against Keith Thurman. Listen, Keith Thurman hits hard. He really does. He hits hard. And I don't know if everybody wants to fight Keith Thurman. He hits hard. But Danny Garcia is a skilled boxer with no fear. Very skilled. Their post-game shows or interviews where they're both in the room has been explosive. If it's any indication of what we're going to witness later on, we're in for a treat, guys. We are in for a treat. We are in for a treat. That's March 4th, 9 o'clock on CBS. It should be a good fight. I think that could be possibly the fight of the year thus far. But tune into that. All right? We're going to move along to the All-Star Weekend. We're going to start off with Friday night. The Rising Stars, Jamal Murray. What a performance he put on. He captured the MVP. On Saturday, Kristaps Porzingis, he captured the skills challenge. Good for him. Good for New York. We'll take any victory we can and hope that it starts some momentum. Eric Gordon, he beat out Kyrie Irving for the three-point shooting contest. Klay Thompson just fell flat. Maybe he needed Curry to beat it. The slam dunk contest wasn't as good as last year. And you know what? For us to expect it to be any better would have been a difficult task. Last year was just phenomenal. That was one of the better slam dunk contests in years that we saw. This one here, Glenn Robinson III, he deserved to win. Had some interesting dunk attempts by Aaron Gordon. He had a drone dropping the ball from the air, but I think he suffered an injury prior to the event, maybe a week before. He just didn't have the lift that he had last year. Maybe it was just too much pressure on him to come up with some originality from last year. But anyway, Glenn Robinson, he captures it. In the game, New Orleans have made noise after noise after noise after noise throughout this whole NBA All-Star Weekend. Fact of putting their hands up and volunteering to host the event after the NBA decided to move the location because of the beliefs and the laws that are in effect in North Carolina. What a positive result has it turned out for New Orleans. Not only did they earn the right to host it and garnered all the attention that NBA All-Star Weekend brings, their very own Anthony Davis shows out in the All-Star game. He winds up MVP with 52 points, breaking Wilt Chamberlain's record of 41 points or 42 points that stood for over 55 years, about 55 years. What a performance by him. He managed to have 10 rebounds, something that I didn't see because he was doing a lot of basket hanging, as we used to say back in the days. But nevertheless, he put on a performance. In these type of games, there's no defense. In these type of games, there's no defense. It's just a bunch of oohs and ahs. Every play is a top 10 ESPN highlight. But there was some people who shined as well. Giannis, first time there, guy had 30 points. I think every shot was a dunk attempt with power. I mean, you would have thought he was hanging out with Dominique or something like that. Oh, what a game he put on. Russell Westbrook, 41 points. LeBron, he had some showings, shooting threes from nearly half court. It's just incredible what we was watching. I mean, we're looking at some of the best to do it. My guy Carmelo, he had a modest 10 points. Then there was the lob from Durant to Westbrook. I mean, it was like a kumbaya moment over on the West bench. Very interesting, but very good game if you just want to see some oohs and ahs and offense. Me, I want to see a little bit more defense. I need to see just a little bit more defense. I want the game to be slightly competitive. I mean, the final score is 192 to 182. You figure they have to chop the Rising Stars that had a score of 150 to 141. But I just think that it needs to be a little bit more competitive. I know you don't want to see nobody getting hurt. But I tell you what, the way these guys was going up for dunks and lobs, they could get hurt from just doing that. Never mind competitive game. Just from the jumping and what they were doing, they could get hurt from that. So, but very entertaining game. But now that gets me to the next thing. As I said, New Orleans benefit from being the host, benefit from the attention, maybe the earnings that comes along with All-Star Weekend. They benefit from seeing their own Anthony Davis being MVP of the All-Star event. And then right around midnight, it is announced that they traded for DeMarcus Cousins And dig this. This is the topic. They receive also Omar Caspi or whatever his name is. You know him when you see him. They give up Tyreek Evans, Langston Galloway, Buddy Hills, who's been a disappointment. Buddy Hills. First round pick of this year. What a steal. Absolute steal. An absolute steal. But I have to question this trade. Is this the right move for New Orleans? Then I have to question, what is Sacramento thinking about? And then I ask, who's the biggest loser of this trade? Let me repeat. Tyreek Evans, who you once had before, couldn't wait to get out of Sacramento. That's number one. Langston Galloway, a D-leaguer that had some success on a bad New York team that kind of got him a contract to go back home. Buddy Hill, number 4 pick in the draft, I believe, or number 5 pick in the draft, that's been a complete bust at this point. You already got McLemore over there, that's a bust. Okay. You get the 17th pick in the draft, top 3 protected. You get 2017 pick, I should say, top 3 protected. First round. Okay. That interesting. And then now you have an opportunity to secure your own top pick if it falls in the top 10. Definitely it will after making this trade. But I have to ask Sacramento. I'm a Knicks fan. Let's not get it twisted. Got the hat on. They're dysfunctional. Sacramento's worse. Sacramento is worse. For the last 6 years, they've had 6 different head coaches. For the last 6 years, they had perhaps the best center in the game. For the last 6 years, they've had a guy that was possible a top 10 to now he is a top 10 player in the game. You got half the league or more that's interested in him. You're telling him and everybody else that they're not trading him. And this is what you bring back? Are you serious? I'm in disbelief. Is this all about maybe 2 draft picks in a deep draft this year? Because again, I know you're going to finish in the top 10 or better. So, and taking on New Orleans first round pick, is this about 2 first round draft picks? Unbelievable. This has got to go down as one of the worst trades in NBA history that involves a top 10 player. Not an aging top 10 player. A top 10 player that's probably has not even reached his peak yet. Just simply ridiculous. I don't have no other words to describe. And they're not the biggest loser. And I'll get to that in a second. New Orleans. I'm not sure what you're thinking about. Now, I don't fault you for accepting DeMarcus Cousins in the trade. But I have to ask you this. Anthony Davis is also considered as one of the top 10 players in the game. And although he doesn't play center, he plays more of a power forward. And some people compare him to an athletic Tim Duncan. Are you trying to establish a Tim Duncan, David Robinson in an era where spacing and three-point shooting is dominant right now? I don't blame you for not passing on DeMarcus Cousins. But let me ask you this. Do you really think this is the move that you needed to accommodate Anthony Davis? I think it's a bad move. Actually, the only thing that can come good out of this, outside that it works to my surprise, is that you only traded for DeMarcus Cousins because you think that your staff has a better chance of getting more for DeMarcus Cousins on the trade market than Sacramento. Because I can only see you grabbing this guy, not for long-term purposes, to possibly trade him. What Anthony Davis needs is a wing person. He doesn't need somebody who's going to take up similar space than him. He needed someone to go inside out with. He didn't need someone that's going to be a roommate in the paint with him. So now, you acquire this guy, and like I said, unless you're trying to bring back David Robinson and Tim Duncan, or Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson, and that's okay. Because both of those guys, both of those tandems went to finals, NBA finals. But I have to ask you, does that work in today's day, today's game, where spacing and three-pointers are dominant and relevant? I'm confused. I am simply confused. Now, if you're telling me that this is a move for another move, maybe because everybody know how desperate that Sacramento needed to trade DeMarcus Cousins, maybe they couldn't get a better package. And that's probably why you were able to get him once again for Tyreke Evans, Langston Galloway, Buddy Hield, and a number 1 pick. Unbelievable. Hey, good morning, John Mack. What's going on? How you feel? It's good to see you tuning in. Unbelievable trade that we witnessed less than 12 hours ago. Me personally, if I'm New Orleans, I'm shopping DeMarcus Cousins. It sounds weird, it sounds strange, but I think that's the best move. You have Omar Asik there, Ashik. That's the type of player you need with Anthony Davis in the box. A defender, a rebounder. You take DeMarcus Cousins, and now you go shop him, and you try to get a wing player. See if you can get Butler, Jimmy Butler for him. Jimmy Butler and somebody else. Because you're in need of a wing now. That's for sure. You need a 2-guard. I don't see who you're going to put up there. I mean, it'd be interesting if you guys tank and keep your number 3 pick. Keep your top 3 protected lottery pick. That would be interesting. But I just don't see how this move betters your team. No, don't get me wrong. You get the better of the trade. You have the better of the trade. But I don't know how it exactly betters your team. If I'm New Orleans, I would trade DeMarcus Cousins. I just don't see how it betters your team. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm in disbelief. I don't know how it betters your team. You were in need of a steady wing guy, and you bring in somebody that can clog the middle with your best player or do similar things as your best player. And despite it all, I don't think that New Orleans or Sacramento is the biggest loser in this trade. Because clearly, Boston is the biggest loser in this trade. They're concentrating on Jimmy Butler. Okay, Jimmy Butler will better their team. He brings defense. He brings a scoring ability. That means you probably have to give up Avery Bradley and Jay Crowder, if not both. I think DeMarcus Cousins, alongside of Horford, would have been the better move. I think that would have been the better move. Good morning, Kareem. Good to see you tuning in. Hope all is well. Have a pleasant doctor visit. Once again, what's happening, John? Good to see you tuning in. Boston doesn't want to part with that number one pick, or first round pick, I should say, of Brooklyn. It would have been worth it for them to part with it for DeMarcus Cousins. And let me tell you why. Isaiah Thomas at point guard, it's not going nowhere for a very long time. He will remain in Boston for a very, very, very long time. The top 3 prospects in the draft are point guards. Are you planning on drafting another point guard? Or are you going to waste it, not waste it, but take a gamble on another position player when you could have just gave that pickup, brought in DeMarcus Cousins, moved the needle, and go after Cleveland? Because DeMarcus Cousins, Horford, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, Isaiah Thomas would have been a handful for Cleveland. So therefore, Boston are the biggest losers in this trade. They should have been the ones that gave up the pick, maybe Jaylen Brown, Amir Johnson, and took a chance on DeMarcus Cousins. Take a chance on DeMarcus Cousins. Reports state that the Lakers didn't want to part with Ingram. Ingram better be the next Durant. Ingram better be the next Durant. Because the Lakers has been starving for a marquee player. And he would have been that guy. He would have been that guy. But Boston are the biggest losers in this trade. I'm not sure what New Orleans is thinking about. But Boston, I will say, are the biggest losers in this trade. Because he would have been a needle mover. He would have moved the needle in Boston had they suited him up alongside of Horford, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and Isaiah Thomas. And Boston hasn't had a star in some years. Isaiah Thomas is a star. He represents himself well. Had some shining moments last night in the All-Star game. I do have him number 3 in the MVP voting. He is clearly a star. But DeMarcus Cousins, he's top 10 player in the league. Top 10 player in the league. Boston missed out on that one. He truly did. Boston missed out on that one. They're the biggest loser in that trade. Holding on to the Brooklyn pick. That's a point guard. And you have one of the game's best point guards right now. But you gotta talk what you want. Isaiah Thomas is clearly a top 10 point guard, if not top 7. If not top 7. Right now, who would I take over him? Yeah, I'd take Kyrie over him. I'd take Westbrook over him. I'll take Curry over him. I'll take Chris Paul over him. Stop's right about there. I don't know if I'm taking Damian Lillard over him. Don't know if I'm taking Kyle Lowry over him. I like John Wall a lot, and John Wall might be more talented than him. But I'm not sure if I'm taking him over Kyrie. Over Isaiah Thomas right now. Isaiah Thomas is balling, guys. Just imagine him and Cousins together. Boston, you missed out on that. If I'm you, I'll link up with New Orleans. It's still not too late. Give up the Brooklyn pick. Give up Jaylen Brown. Give up Amir Johnson. That will work. That will work. Now that we've seen Ibaka traded, we've seen a trade of some young centers between Portland and with Plumlee going to Denver. Denver getting back Nokic. Again, the Ibaka trade. Now we see the Cousins trade. Is there another big name on the move? Will we see Carmelo on the move? I doubt it. But will we see him on the move? What's next in store for the trade deadline, which is the 23rd, Thursday? What's in store? Or is this it? Will Chicago trade Jimmy Butler? Reports have it that New Orleans is not done yet. They're looking for someone to take Terrence Jones. Good luck on that. I'm not sure if you can find anybody who's going to take him. At least not for a pick. But this puts pressure on Alvin Gentry in New Orleans now. If he doesn't turn this around, Calipari could be coming to the NBA. You heard it here first. If Alvin Gentry does not turn it around in New Orleans, Calipari could be headed to the Big Easy. Well, that's going to do it for the show this morning. I hope y'all all enjoy. Once again, you guys can follow me on YouTube at Troy Ramel Royal. Just put my name in. You'll see all my videos. Just subscribe to me. I appreciate that. I need subscribers. I need viewers. Look me up, guys. In the meantime, y'all have a good day, and y'all try to digest what just took place 12 hours ago. Because I'm having a hard time digesting it. But anyway, hey, that's NBA. That's Sacramento doing something unthinkable. And to the Lakers, I'm high on Ingram. I'm high on him. But you better make sure he's the real deal. Because DeMarcus Cousins, this is your type of move. Getting the best big man available out there. Better make sure he's all that. Hey, peace and blessings. I see y'all in 24.